It feels pretty good, but it's just one goal that we set out, at the beginning of the year. So it feels good to accomplish one goal. We have a lot more to go.
Given the fact that you've only been really playing Division One for 3 years here, what does it say about the job that Lavelle has done?
It says a lot. He's always taught us to be champions. It feels good to kindly, come to grasp with that and become champions.
What is it about his program that has you guys buying in and believing that you are champions?
Just the work ethic, every day going hard, having that blue collar, work ethic every day and just coming out and challenging us every day. And we became champions.
You and Emmanuel came in, when the expectations weren't that high. Do you ever stop and think about just how far things have come in the time you've been here?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like, as far as, Coach said about the fans, when we first got here, no one was really supporting us. Just to, rebuild the program, become winners and seeing it change as far as the fans, as far as people supporting us is really big.
How much has the basketball culture around here, all those things that you just kind of touched on, how much has that changed?
A lot. When we first got here, it was nice where at games we had 15 people in here, including the parents. The whole bleachers were empty. Now it's a packed house every night. It's a great environment now.
Jeremy, you guys had a great year last year, but we know what happened in the MEAC tournament. What's different about the makeup of this year's team, which gives you optimism about this year's run?
I would say, that happening, has made us, the team we are today. We don't want to take anything for granted. I would say we took that game for granted. We had beat them twice, A&T last year in the tournament, and thought we would easily get by. But no game is easy, and we've learned from that. So that's brought us to where we are today.
Jeremy, when you look at each of your teammates kind of in the eye, what stands out about the unit? Kind of all the other stuff is kind of nice around you, but what stands out to you about the teammates that you're looking at?
When I look into my teammate eyes, I just know that they have my back because we fight every day in practice. We go against each other, we push each other. So when I look one of my teammates in the eye, no matter which one it is, I just know they have my back every night in the battle.
So, Jeremy, you think about that when you play in this Wednesday's tournament game, that you have to get over that hump to get by that one. That's going to make it easier for you?
Yeah, that would definitely make it easier. As far as, my teammates having my back, every night in battle, that'll make me feel secure, make us play our A game, get over that hump.
Jeremy, you still have one game left in the regular season, though. The goal, again, is to continue to get better as a team. How do you guys get down from it and get back to, after clinching the regular season title? Norfolk State's right there with us, top of the league. How do you guys get focused for that one?
We just come out with the same focus we've had all year. Don't take any games for granted, like I said. And, we are number one, but it's not over. We have one more game to go in the regular season. We're going to come out with the same intensity on the defensive end and, try to get another win.
It's great to be on a big winning streak. Is it ever a concern, though? Maybe some teams might play a little tense, but it certainly hasn't been the case for you guys. You're not worried about that heading into the postseason?
Oh, no, we're not worried about that at all. We just want to, like I said, come out with the same focus that we've been coming out with and not take anything for granted. I keep repeating that because you can't take anything for granted in this league. You can be beat on any given night, so we want to come out with the same focus.
Given what happened last year in the MEAC tournament, do you feel like there's added pressure going into this year?
No added pressure. We take every game one by one. It's a tournament game, but it's another game, so we want to treat it like a regular season game.
What did beating State do for you guys in terms of confidence? A lot of teams could have put that in their pocket. Okay, we've got that, but it really seems like you guys have launched from there.
Oh, yeah, that was a big win, of course, for the program. But like I said, that was one of our goals, too, to finally get one of those big games or guarantee games, as they would say. So that was one of the goals, and we just wanted to go from there as far as our goal state of mind.
What was Coach Norton's message to you guys after this game? What did he say to you guys?
He said, we knew we were going to win that game. We had intentions on winning that game when we stepped on the court with them, and we knew we could win. So he just said, don't get the big head. Just let there be one goal to our stepping point or total point. So that's what we did.
Being in Raleigh and all that, did it feel like it meant something more to him? Could you guys feel that?
Yeah, definitely. That's his hometown or where he went to high school at. So, and also Poobie Chapman. It was a big thing for him too, because they overlooked him being from his home city. So that was big for them guys.
That's also a site that NCAA tournament games were played at. Is that something that ever crossed your mind that this is the kind of place we want to get back to?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't know that was one of the sites, but knowing that, yeah, that's definitely where we want to get back to.
Can you just describe when the time ticked down to 0 last night in overtime? What was it like in here last night?
It was electric in here. You know, we had people storming the court. It was really big. It kind of shocked me. I was really just shocked, you know, that we finally became champions of the league, and you know, all the work, all the hours, you know, it just all came together.
The feeling of being regular season champions right now is amazing. It's still surreal because I know where this team and this program have come from, but at the end of the day, we have about 2 hours on that, and we move on to the next game.
If somebody walked up to you off the street, didn't know anything about NC Central basketball, your history, what would you say to sum it up as to where you've been and where you are now?
A transition, a process. Everything that you talk about or you instill in younger kids, or that you don't want the one and dones and the instant success and instant fame. I think that's this program. We weren't fortunate enough to have any one and done players come through here, so it's been a process. It's been a slow grind, and fortunately, it's turned out to be a regular season championship.
How tough were those a couple years ago? You know, those first years in D1.
It was a grind, and of course, coming from wherever you come from, nobody likes to lose, or nobody likes to be under-recognized, or nobody likes that. So I think it makes it a tough job for Coach Moulton to sell to us, to stay with it and to remain confident and to still believe. But he got that message across somehow.
What was the message he gave you guys that you bought into and now reaping the rewards? What was that message that he gave you guys?
The first thing is that you have to trust each other. No relationship works without trust. That goes from women to best friends to coach to teammate. No relationship works without trust. So when he gave me a chance, he gave my teammate Jeremy Ingram a chance, and we trusted him, and he trusted us, and now we're here.
How much has that culture surrounding the program changed in the time?
Tremendously. I remember my first game playing in this gym had about like 9 or 10 people in there counting my mom. So now to see it sometimes get packed out, and for it to be an all-white game or an all-black game, and the fans is the gym is electric. It's a great feeling because hopefully I've had something to do with bringing fans out.
You guys obviously had a great year last year, but was the NC State win this year, was that truly a turning point?
I think that's the turning point that everyone else saw it. You know what I mean? I felt like we had a turning point early in the season when we were beating other teams. You know what I mean? But we didn't get as much recognition for that. NC State just happened to put it on a bigger plateau.
The conference tournament did not go the way you guys wanted last year. How much has that kind of fueled and motivated you guys this year?
It was big on our preparation in the off season last year and getting ready for this year. But as soon as this season started, as soon as the new players suited up, last year was behind us. We've learned from it. Me and Jeremy and KJ and guys that were on the team last year. But for the most part, it's behind us. You know what I mean? So it fueled us in the off season, and we had to learn from it. But right now, we're a totally different team.
Is it tough to play with the burden of a long winning streak?
It is if you let that long winning streak get to you. But our motto here and our thing here is to win every day. So, if you focus on just today and just this play and this possession, I know it's hard. It's easy for me to sit up here and say that, but that's what we try to do. So if you look at it and say, yeah, now if we lose now, that 15 games, or as Wichita, that 30 blah games is out of control. But once you single it down to one day at a time and one play at a time, then it's a little bit easier.
Speaking of Wichita, how much does having that as a measuring stick, I know it was a while ago now, but knowing that type of competition is out there, how does that help you guys?
We talked to the Wichita players after the game, and of course we friendly conversation during the game. I'm gonna say friendly because that's what we're gonna keep it. So we talked about it. We talked about the things that we both programs go through. in their conference and our conference. And it's like you said, it's a measuring stick. You see guys that we play against, teams that we play against every year. So we're pretty much familiar. The scout reports are, pretty familiar. But when you play against a team that's, as proven as they are, and we can, prove ourselves and try to hang in there, then it shows that, we can actually do things if we trust coach, like I say again.
Do you feel like there's added pressure going into this year's MEAC tournament based on what happened last year? How do you separate that?
I think, like I said, I think it is for everyone else. Outside of my team and the coaching staff and the people that's, close to this program, I think it's a lot of pressure because a lot of people are saying, oh, my school is doing this and doing that. And then there's people like, yeah, well, they did that last year and they lost. So, it's a lot of pressure for them. But for us, we try to leave last year and last year. We have a totally different team this year. We have new leaders and, we have new coaches. We have totally new things that's going on. So last year is last year. And, this year we're trying to, change that.
How different was the mindset last year going into the MEAC tournament, and why is the chemistry on this team that much different to give you more optimism?
Last year, I can honestly say now that it was immaturity. Last year, I would have liked to thought of myself as a mature kid, and as a junior, I'm mature for my age. And now looking back, that was terrible. That was terrible thinking. It was a terrible mindset. And we went into the tournament thinking, we were second, we should have been first, and we were going to show everybody. But we learned quickly that everybody showed us. You know what I mean? So just maturity and learning things from last year. Confidence, but at the same time, anybody can be beaten on any day. So we're going there with that mindset.
Man, you talked about the first time you were in this gym, about 10 people in here. What was the atmosphere last night when it clocked down to 0 and came overtime?
It was surreal. I know a lot, like I said, I know a lot of the people that was here. I see them around campus, and, they were good luck. Poobie, do this, you better do that, y'all gotta do this. And it's a lot of things. You don't want to let them down. They come out to support. It was an ice storm. They could have slipped and tore their hamstring coming to the game. So, you want to give them a reason to come to the game so they limp in and be like, at least I tore my hamstring, but we got that MEAC championship.
What's the background on your nickname?
Poobie, it comes from, I used to love Pooh Bear. My father used to, call me Pooh Bear, but I couldn't say Pooh Bear. I can only say Pooh and then the B from the bear. So I just walk around as a baby saying Pooh B, and it just stuck.
Obviously, it's huge. All you guys are here. It's incredible for our family, our friends, our fans, our student athletes. A lot of people don't have a understanding of what these kids actually endured, and it's not necessarily this group. It's the groups of young men who I signed to play basketball here at North Carolina Central, and we couldn't offer them a postseason tournament. And they signed on anyway, knowing that we were independent and we didn't have any conference affiliation, but they came and they were pretty much trailblazers in their path. And they pretty much opened the door for these guys. And I always ask those guys to play hard because they got to respect those guys. Those guys were the trailblazers and the pioneers of it. So, to say the least, it's just the ultimate responsibility of this team to go out there and compete extremely hard. And, for you guys to witness a championship, it's pretty much the byproduct of the sacrifice and commitment and willingness to work. And, one thing I love about this team, they sacrifice their individuality for the betterment of the team, and that's extremely tough. It's the hardest thing to do in sports, I think, is to get 5 really talented guys to play basketball with one ball on the floor. We've all seen great NBA teams that didn't win championships for whatever reason because they couldn't get it to mesh. And these guys, they're not NBA players, but in their minds, they believe they are. And, for them to sacrifice their individuality for the betterment of the team, I just think it's indicative of who we are, and that's why we celebrated a championship last night.
Open floor for questions. Well, you're not just at any school. You're here. So for you, just how special was last night and the journey you've been on with this team? It's
extremely special. When I first got the job, I got a call from Roy Williams, and I never forget, and we texted today, actually. He told me congratulations, and I just never will forget when he told me a lot of people will think this is the corniest thing in the world, but us coaching at our alma mater gives us a passion advantage. And he said, you'll know what I'm talking about down the road. And he texted me today, and he never forgot that statement to me. And I never forgot him making that statement. And now I know what he means. It's, I have more passion in my thumb than the average North Carolina Central fan because I came out here and, I'm a product of this basketball program, and I shedded some blood, sweat, and tears on this court. And, we were able to win championships and regional championships and go to Final Fours and things of that nature. And, you just want the same, passion and happiness for these guys because they work extremely hard to have that.
Are you a little bit surprised at how quickly the success has come?
Not really. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but, you better have a plan together and you better believe in yourself and this program when you take over on this level, because I'm in a position where my idols immediately become my rivals, so whether I like it or not, that same call from when I first got the job, Roy Williams beat us by 40 points, so this is the same guy calling me, giving me advice, so that lets you know how much he cares about my feelings at the end of the day. So you better have a plan in place where you really believe in yourself and have some conviction about yourself and the program and how you're going to contribute. And I'm no fool. The easiest way to succeed is to get really good basketball players. I don't take myself as a coach that serious. And you just interviewed two guys with Poopy Chapman and Jeremy Ingram, who's really good and make me look a lot better than I actually am. And I certainly accept that. But, it's been an incredible ride for them. And they partially are the core group of individuals because they're my first 4-year guys who, in large part, had a lot to do with the success and us really turning the corner.
Was there a point that you can reflect on now, maybe looking back last season or even before that, where you're like, okay, we're turning the corner, we're on the right.
I really thought, the first year I took over the program, I think we were 7-22, and that was really an improvement from the previous year, although that wasn't acceptable by any means. And I'll tell you the point I really felt like we were really turning the corner. I want to say it was 3 years ago, maybe 4. We went to Oklahoma, and we led them from start to finish. And we eventually lost that game in overtime, and it was heartbreaking. But I knew then we had turned the corner because prior to that, the first thing I did when I got hired, I looked at the point differential with the guarantee games. And I said, we have to improve in this area because we were losing by 40. It was 39.7. So we rounded that to 40 points. And I was like, look, man, we can't get beat by 40 points because what happens is that game eventually beats you 3 more games because you turning yourself into a guidance counselor. Those kids haven't forgot about that butt whooping. And I said, we just have to be able to compete and possibly win some of these guarantee games. And that Oklahoma game, as disheartening as it was and as painful as it was, I think it sparked in our guys that we could compete with the Big 12, the Big 10, Pac-12, ACC, and we're not that far away despite having less resources, despite having less money, despite not being as privileged. And I just think that was the turning point in the program.
Then you fast forward to the NC State game, so that's a game you expected to win.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it was, I don't know what Poobie told you, but, the cat is out the bag now. I'll be completely honest with you. This summer when we scheduled that game, you have moments with your players, and that kid came into my office and said, Coach, we got NC State. And I was like, yeah, they just signed the contract. He was like, oh, we're going to beat them. I was like, man, we're not thinking about that. No, he's like, I'm serious. Go on and mark that on the calendar. Like, he was that amped up to play. Because as a Raleigh kid, he felt like NC State should have recruited him. NC State can only have 2 or 3 point guards in the world. But that's just how he felt. And, here we go with a guy feeling as if he belonged in the ACC. So I just knew the transformation from the players that we once had to what we have now, has grown. And that's just the attitude that you got to have. You got to feel like you belong when you walk out there on that floor.
In the same line, what do you think the players learned from that locker room last year in the tournament and feeling that defeat?
I told him, man, we all whether we want to admit it or not, I'm not a helpless romantic type guy, but, I had my heart broken in ninth grade, and, that bothers me to this day, and I have done everything as a grown man to not experience that pain ever again in my life. So I told them, you're pretty much in the same boat. Let's do everything that we possibly can to never experience that pain of that locker room in our life, because it was painful. And it's unfortunate that, our conference or, the NCAA doesn't recognize a 5-month grind, a 5-month body of work. And it boils down to those 3 days in March, but it is what it is. And I think our guys learned a lot from it. I never thought we played bad basketball. I just thought we didn't shoot the basketball extremely well. We guarded, we did all the little things, but at the end of the day, basketball is the one sport. It's unlike football, You can't block a punt, you can't kick a field goal to get points, you can't return an interception. Like, the only way you get points is that ball got to go in that hole. And we just didn't do it last year. So hopefully, they learned, and it'll help us as we go along.
Coach, what was it like last night as the clock was counting down in overtime, and knowing that you're going to win the game? What was it like with this atmosphere here last night?
It was electric. To say the least, it still hasn't hit me. I watched a Nick Saban. ESPN did a special on Nick Saban, and they followed the guy. And this was fresh off him winning another championship. And they were like, well, you don't get a chance to enjoy the championships? And he was like, nah, it's on to the next. And I'm sitting there looking at this screen like, man, you crazy? I'm partying for like a week if I win a national championship. And as soon as we win, I go home and I'm grading film. And I'm jumping on Poobie because he went under a ball screen. So I'm falling in that same line where as a coach, you demand greatness. And when you reach what you prepare so hard to work for, it's like on to the next. And it's crazy. You don't want to take that, for granted, and you definitely don't want it to be in vain. But, I guess I got to come back and tell them I love them a little bit today because we have won a championship, and I haven't told them that just yet. So I tell them that, and then I tell them, I express my disappointment in them with not doing the proper things. But in terms of our crowd, they've been tremendous. I don't know the streak. I think it's 20-something home games in a row, whatever it is. But, that's an incredible streak because we're not like Duke. We're not like Syracuse in terms of where we're paying teams to come and we know we're going to beat them, for a large portion. And then, you may have 8 or 9 like opponents where you're just defeating them. Everyone that come in our gym can beat us, and that's the difference. And when you look at that equation, the X factor has always been our fans. They make it an extremely difficult place to play for opposing teams. So I just felt like addressing them last night, and I wanted them to feel a part of this regular season championship just as much of it as we did.
Terms like take things for granted, immaturity, those were thrown around by Boobie and Jeremy as far as last year to the NEAC tournament. I know you got one regular season game left, but how mature is this group? Can that be a difference maker heading into the postseason?
We're maturing. It's tough, man, being around 15 kids every day that's 18 to 22. I mean, like, you see some of the most immature stuff ever, and we are silly at the end of the day. But, I think we've grown. I think we've learned from our mistakes, and I think we're trying to move in the right direction. Right now it's a matter of us executing that game plan accordingly. So I think we realize what we have to do, but I want them to become more mature in terms of their preparation, and not take anything for granted and really focus on attention to detail, because in the tournaments, like I know, every game is decided by one play, and it's not the final play. Normally it's that play around the 9-minute mark where, someone missed a layup and, the team that went down and scored 2 points, and now they got a little bit of separation. And we don't want to be that team anymore. We want to be the mature basketball team that capitalize on others' mistakes.
Playing NC State, playing Wichita State, what did they do for this team?
I try to schedule tough every year just to, one thing about Wichita State and Greg Marshall, when you go out there, they beat you up physically like no other. A foul is not a foul in Kansas, the way they beat you up. I mean, they beat you up. And we needed that. Our kids needed to see why we lift weights the way we do. Because honestly, they just didn't know. They're always comparing and contrasting themselves to their peers. I don't want you to compare and contrast yourself to your peers. Compare and contrast yourself to the great teams, the elite teams in Division I, because that's what we aspire to be. So the Wichita game really helped out. And I tell you what really helped out. We played Maryland. We played well. We didn't shoot the basketball well. And, I have a kid on that team who's like my nephew, Dez Wells. And after the game, I knew this, but our team didn't know this. After the game, Maryland went straight into their weight room and started lifting weights. And this after a 16, 18-point victory. So I told our team, come here, I want you to see something. Like, they just beat you. They have all the reason in the world to go out here and party and be a college student right now. But look at the work that they're putting in, And I think that woke our guys up saying, hey, they tweet a lot, but they do work, And those little things are what you do as a coach to kind of motivate your team and just use it as teaching points so you can capitalize when it's your time.
So you've already accomplished great things here. How do you stay motivated going forward?
Until something is on that wall, man, I need a banner or something. That's just me. I don't care about Coach of the Years and regular seasons and, all that stuff. Like, I want the ultimate prize, and right now the ultimate prize is the NCAA tournament. And I just think that's the same standard that I hold the guys to, and I want them to understand that too. I want them to know that I'm extremely proud of them and what we've accomplished thus far. But we don't shy away from it just because we're having a good year. The standard is the standard around here. And, this is where John McClendon coached, and this is a standard of championships and a standard of excellence, and we got to bring that back. And I said that from day one when I got hired. I want championships, and I just think that's the ultimate prize. So that's my motivation. Until we're able to get another tournament championship, then I think I'll smile and not be Nick Saban so much.
I know you guys got tested last night, but do you feel like there's been enough game pressure on you guys to be able to just withstand that if it comes to it?
Yeah, it has. We've in the conference we've experienced, like we went up to Maryland Eastern Shore, and I think they're 13th in the league, but they're to me, one of the most dangerous teams in the league. I mean, they have great guard play, athletic power forwards, an athletic center who's 6'11", who changes everything. It's like, things haven't clicked as well for them. But they had us on the ropes up there. FAMU are lost in the conference. Hopefully we learned something from up there. And I tell our guys, and I'm honest with them, we're not the most talented team in the league. Like, we're not going to show up. We're not UNLV in 90-91 where we can just walk out here and play our C game and win by 30. Like, we have to bring our A game because we're a grimy team, and that's just who we are. And you try to use different analogies, and I try to get them to buy into that because they don't, the girls like the long balls. They like the three-point shots, and that's what they scream over. They don't scream over you diving on the floor. And it's crazy. Before the game yesterday, I used the reference of the movie 8 Mile because I know they all seen it. And I said, the most beautiful thing about that movie to me as a coach is when at the end of the movie, Eminem and the other guys battling, and the guy asks who wants to go first in this rap off. And Eminem says, I'll go first. And in his rap, he says everything, like he just says everything that he knows the other guy's planning to say about him. He says, I know I'm poor, I know my mama's on drugs, and I know I don't have no money, I know I live in a trailer park, and so on and so forth. And his last words to the guy was, tell these people something that they don't know about me. And he gave him the microphone, the guy couldn't say anything. And I said, the moral is, when you own your truth, and no one can use your truth against you. So our truth has to be, we're a grimy team, we're not sexy, we're not ultra talented. We can't outshoot you. We can't outscore you. So we have to be this grimy team and own our truth. And I don't know if that's why we won the championship last night, but hey, it's a great analogy. Great analogy. I like that one. Myself, I like that one. So. Yeah, I did. I got creative ones, man. We go through it a lot. I showed them the one from they're young, so they know the second Karate Kid with Will Smith's son. That's no Karate Kid. I'm talking about Daniel LaRusso getting jumped at the party, that Karate Kid. And I showed them, because it was an earlier time. I forgot the coach from the Southern Illinois when he went on his rant. He was kind of speaking on behalf of all the coaches. I had no problem with his rant, at the time. I was like, yeah, I mean, he could have cleaned some things up. But, you can have lip smackers and you have eye rollers at times. And I told them, I showed him a Karate Kid clip. And it was the scene where Daniel, he had gotten beat up so many times. He went to Mr. Miyagi and said, I wanted to learn karate. Mr. Miyagi said, all right, so, here you go, paint this fence and then wax this car and then wax this floor. And after 4 or 5 days, Daniel just got so tired and fed up. He said, I wanted to learn karate, not, be your busboy or be your maid. And Miyagi just told him, just be quiet and started throwing punches. And he was like, show me sand the floor. And he was throwing punches and, as he's throwing them, he's blocking them and he's realizing this guy been teaching me the entire time. So if you just humble yourself and sit back and be willing to learn and trust just trust your coaching staff, then I think that exhibits buy-in. So that was another analogy. I got to copyright these things, man.
Are they all from movies?
Yeah, well, mostly. It's mostly things that they can relate to. That's what I try to do. And that's what you have to do with this generation because they different. They different. I love them, but they different. Yeah.
So is Rocky 3 one of those analogies, or is that just you wanting to watch Rocky?
Yeah, that was just me wanting to watch Rocky. That was just me wanting to watch Clubber Lang. Yeah.
Why is it? All right, so you're on Twitter. You're communicating with all kinds of people,
right?
Athletes, coaches, celebrities, musicians. It seems like you look at all the kids you've mentored around here. It seems like you almost collect people to surround yourself with. Is that a deliberate plan, or does that happen just because of who you are?
I think it just happens. When you grow up, so many people help you along the way. And, in this business, you have the luxury of, I grew up with a lot of guys, and when I grew up with them or mentored them, whatever, they were just those people. Then they become famous, and now they're superstars, and people like, how you know Jerry Stackhouse? I'm like, man, me and Jerry Stackhouse played together since we was 12 years old, and that's Jerry Stackhouse, how he know me. That's how I'm thinking, because I was a star of the team, so it's just that thing. And, Twitter for me is just an opportunity to be transparent and, let people briefly into my world. I'm really a private person, but I kind of let them in because that's just how you have to be in this generation. And, I try to have fun with it and, just interact with people. I think you can use it as fun. I don't take it serious when people or state fans are dogging me and saying, we hate you. I get a lot of that. I just hit block and I keep going. I don't let it, I just don't take it too serious. I just use it as fun and, just try to entertain people and just have fun with it.
The player said, when Ninth Wonder came in and spoke, that meant something to him, that you were able to use that connection.
Yeah, that really did.
Some of the lessons that he taught them about his music that they could apply to basketball.
It did because, I wanted them to understand that regardless of what you do, who you are, and what field that you're going to pursue in this world, number one, and I told them I'm an avid reader. I have 35 biographies and autobiographies in my office. And I said the one thing about all those books, and it's people from Bill Gates to Puffy to Roy Williams to Coach K to John Wood and Big House Games, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing about all those books is each one of those individuals were down and out at one point in time in their life. They just fought. They had a sense of toughness. I said the other thing, if you're going to be successful, I don't care what you're doing, you got to have a passion, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to drive you. And me and Ninth, we walked the campus together. We were really friends. We used to tease him because he always walked around with some broken headphones. And they want these Beats by Dre. They was just taped with the Walkman headphones. We're like, yo, this dude always got on headphones. And now it makes all the sense in the world when he becomes who he is. And, I think he said some things that really hit home to him. I think he told those kids, I made 3,000 beats and only got paid for 6 of them. And I sold those for $50 a piece, so you can't do it just for pay. The only thing that got him through was his passion and his relationships with people and people respecting what he did. And that's how he was able to meet Mary J. Blige and Beyonce and Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar and all that and Kanye, and it just hit home, because that's, we are the hip-hop generation, and these kids just a continuation of that. So, they were able to, have a direct correlation with that, and I just thought it was huge. They even uttered his quote before. He said a quote. He said, "Chance favors the well-prepared." So we used that with our scouting reports. Like the ball is gonna. He told them, if you haven't been in this gym shooting 1,000 free throws, you're not gonna make it when that game is tight and on the line, because you haven't prepared yourself for that moment and for that chance and that opportunity. So it really hit home. I thank him for it. He can be my assistant coach if he want to, if he got some more of those stories, because we need all the help we can get.
Did you really tell Oprah you would be on her show?
I told Oprah in 2004. We were at in New York. I'm not that familiar with New York. We was in New York at. I was coming out of Justin's restaurant, which was Puffy's restaurant, and it was just a big mob. And I saw her, and we were walking past, and they were trying to get her in the car because it was raining. And I said, "I'm really gonna be on your show one day." She's like, "Okay," and we just got in the car. So that's what it was.
Still working on it.
Yeah, we still working on that. So, I mean, if she listening, I'm ready.